Hello again. Okay, I will sure. I will wait a little bit.
Hello.
Good to hear you. Oh, people are coming. That's nice. Sorry for the inconvenience. Maybe it's sort of refreshing to have a break during the lecture. I don't know how you surviving this, but for me it's difficult. Normally I walk a lot during lecturing or classes. I know students are supposed to sit, but for me it's a huge change to sit and just talk. Okay. Okay, well, I have a few seconds left. Sorry for that. Okay, let's go through things that we already went through. And yeah, we will come back to this. And we are in this weird situation, and I need to provide the context again. I don't know if you remember, maybe it was years ago, but the last financial crisis, that it was 2008, and it was exactly this thing that that we have in this quotation, that somehow suddenly money stopped circulating, and it was difficult in some countries to say how much money do you have on your bank account, like the whole system, the financial system, the architecture of exchange collapsed for a few days at least. So there was a huge degree of uncertainty, and somehow, yeah, it was not that like in this quotation that the economic life was suspended immediately, but people wanted to perform day after day, at least a little bit. They even tried to, especially in Iceland, where I conducted my research, people were doing shopping, doing their work, at least the majority of them, but nobody could really say if they have still money on their bank accounts, even though they were paying for that. And it was difficult. But in general, it looks like that the economic life without money, it stops, it is suspended. It could be suspended. And we may say that, okay, but I can still do things together with my closest friends, or somehow things that I already did without the helping force of money. And you are right. Maybe this suspension, the possible suspension when money disappears or is losing its value in economy, say something more about the working conditions that we were supposed to work in. I mean, that the only motivation, or the biggest motivation to perform our task, is some sort of economic violence, that we need this money to pay for our food, our shelter, and things like that. But I forget. Yes, economic conditions, and sometimes it is masked by the very skillful management class, by the managers who are able to produce or to say to employees that the tasks that you are doing are kind of important for the humanity, important for your development, and you have maybe, or you will develop some inner motivation to perform, to do something well together. And this is something that is a kind of the cover on this economic economic violence that is that is below, let's say, if we want to see things up and down. Maybe it's complicated, but it's yeah, it's complicated, and it's difficult to experience that. But from time to time, in many countries, people experience things like that. When there is a crisis, things stop, even though everything is in the place, except the will to do things together. And what we can do, or what government, or what the power that the existing power in the place could do. And so what to do when nothing happens, when there is no coordinating force in the economy. And there are several answers that are in use. For example, the answer one is some kind of scary, but also sometimes people discuss like that they are afraid of things doing the wrong way. And I said the one answer is a war. A war is a huge change, because then suddenly everything happens because you because of the order. If there is an order, somebody gives you an order, you need to perform, you need to do something. So that is how we come back to the beginning, or to the beginning of this lecture, or to our previous lecture. When you are militarized society by saying that there is an enemy inside or outside, when you militarize society, you are able to coordinate, to build an airport, that was in this quotation, just because you give orders. So, okay, we militarize society. Now we have top-down management, let's say, in the whole society, and how it affects our way to work together. It's interesting. Let's do something like in our mind, come back and connect social relations, like feudal relations, where identity is very important. And for example, let's try within these relations, let's try to collaborate. Let's start to quarrel. Let's start to argue with somebody. Somebody gives you an order to do something, and you see that this order is stupid because of something, because you have different approach to the things. And you say that, okay, but it could be done better in a way. So it needs even more courage than usual to join the collaboration when the majority, the most common relations between people are feudal. When there is a power bigger than you, the collaboration doesn't maybe work perfectly, doesn't give results, the breakthrough results, let's say. Maybe you have a different opinion about that. Maybe you find, probably you are able to find examples that are contrary to what I've already told you. But let's analyze a little bit more. When we have feudal relations, how we could organize cooperation. Let's make a cooperative, and we have feudal relations in that. How it affects our work when we have feudal relations? Imagine that you are making or you are installing a cooperative shop, and then suddenly you have people who are higher than others. The distance between them is bigger than usual. Maybe it would be more difficult to ask them to perform all the tasks that we have at the shop. That's a very common thing in some societies, in some cultures, when we have a huge distance between people who are higher and lower, let's say. when there is a huge distance like that, like some kind of class society, let's say, those who are higher have some problems with performing tasks like cleaning. When you're working in a shop and somebody is like dropping a jar of I don't know, tomatoes, let's say, to make it more colorful. Somebody is dropping jar of tomatoes. So how would you expect who would clean it? The person who is the closest, for example, or the closest of the catastrophe, and let's say this is an employer or the owner of the shop, or not owner of the shop, but person who has, I don't know, some sort of distinction, or the person who is like on the lowest position in the shop. Probably the person who is higher would ask those who are lower to do something. That would be their natural way to conduct, even though we are in a cooperative shop, let's say. So this cooperative thing would have some problems. And normally we have these problems, and we need to work with people to outperform their distinction that they had because of their identity. Just because you have, I don't know, that you are a professor or somebody, that doesn't mean that you can't clean the floor in a cooperative shop, which is not that easy to understand for some, for someone, for others. Not only for those who are higher, but also for those who are lower, because they want, some people want this hierarchy to exist, to see the sense of the world. And actually the feudal relations are the best fit to this coordination model. There are some, because in feudal relations we need a big coordinator, and it works well with the person who gives orders. But the problem is that the disadvantage of having this some sort of relations in coordination is that sometimes it produces the culture of fear. When we have a person who's upstairs, who's upper than us, and who's responsible, officially responsible for the result, we don't want to make decisions by our own. We just ask them what to do, and when they can't provide an answer, we stop making decisions. And this is the case in many societies when suddenly they have top-down management, and for example, in, I don't know, in bureaucracy, and then suddenly people stop making any decisions. They are waiting for an order because they want to be safe. They don't want to be, they are scared, let's say. Okay, the second answer is wait for a natural disaster. I like this answer because we experienced that in Iceland after the financial crisis, because there was a volcano eruption. And then suddenly all the attention that the economic things have disappeared. All the attention were focused on the natural things, and the baseline communism kind of relations started functioning. So people started to help each other. They started to care about each other. They started talking and saying, "How do you do? Do you need any help?" Or and at some point, do you need any lift to see the volcano erupting? It was also an entertainment. But how this baseline communism works in different models. For example, how it works in collaboration. Are we able to quarrel with people who wanted to help us? It's difficult. It's difficult to organize such things, I guess. It could end up in some sort of competition, but I'm not sure. It's just like, I have some pattern of thinking about that. The baseline communism model and coordination also that the coordination model would be criticized by people who say somebody is taking power or exercising power by putting themselves into the coordinator position. So those who are wanted to have close relations will feel alienated by the division of tasks that we have in the coordination model. And when you want to have some friendship, the cooperative model is probably fits you the best. Okay, to make it more, to make it faster, the third answer, very like the most economical, the normal answer is to provide media of exchange. When there is no money, provide more money or any other money. If you have, for example, international currency at some place, provide local currency, provide any currency that will just make things moving. We will discuss local currencies and some systems of how to make your own currency on the other time, like on the next lectures. But just think about it. When the money disappeared, you need more money. The central banks do this by lowering the percentage, the cost of borrowing money. So there is a potential to have it cheaper, so you could have it more. But scared rich people want to save value for tomorrow. And here we have that even though when there is a crisis like economic or financial crisis, some people would like to store money, because the problem with money is that, like now our money, our national, or we call it fiat money actually, but the problem with them is that they are a very good store of value. For example, when you have some sort of money or some amount of money and you have oranges and you wait for a few days, then your oranges will be rotten, for example, or eaten, but basically rotten. You can't store value very well in oranges, yes? Whereas in money, they store perfectly. And from time to time, if you keep it on some kind of bank account, they can even grow a little bit. Whereas it's more difficult with oranges to grow unless you use some seeds, but it's a totally different process. So everything get older in the world, let's say, except money. Yes, and this is a very important thing. So when there is a crisis, some people would like to keep it for tomorrow. And we need to force them to think nowadays, maybe. Oh, the government would like to, or somebody who would like to, there's always somebody who would like this working together happen again. And we have another quotation from Charles Eisenstein. I don't remember the page because I have different books and I copied it from different sources, but still this is the same book, The Sacred Economics. And we have here some sort of thinking. Okay, destructive function of money. Let's talk about it a little bit more. And I will read the quotation again. Suppose you go to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, I would like a 1 million loan so I can buy this forest to protect it from logging. That's weird, but weird in the comic sense. I won't generate any income from the forest that way, okay, because I will just protect. So I won't be able to pay you interest. But if you need the money back, I could sell the forest and pay you back the $1 million. That's weird. I will borrow, and then I will, because the forest doesn't get older somehow. Unfortunately, the banker will have to decline your proposal, even if her heart wants to say yes. But if you go to the bank and say, I would like $1 million to purchase this forest, lease bulldozers, clear cut it, and sell the timber for a total of $2 million, out of which I will pay you 12% interest and make a tidy profit for myself too. Then an astute banker will agree to your proposal. In the former instance, no new goods and services are created, so no money is made available. Money goes toward those who create new goods and services. The argument of Eisenstein is that that's why we have more work, like more jobs in our economy that are destructive, that they try to extract value from natural resources or from social relations or from the common good, let's say, and less jobs which are focused on protecting things. And the question is how this conversation would look like if the interest rates were negative. And I will just sketch you, like, give you the idea that imagine that interest rates are negative. For example, I don't know, 10% negative or 5%, 10% negative. Every money that you have will lose, and every year you need the 10th of your money disappear. Actually, the idea is exercised, or was exercised nowadays. I guess only in Hungary and Sweden there was, like, in a few years back, there were some exercises with that, but they went very low. I mean, -1 or something, -2. I don't remember, for a short time to see what happened with the economy. But the idea is very old. Not very old, but it has at least 100 years. It was exercised during the Great Crisis. In some regions, actually, as far as I remember, coal companies provided some sort of money in the region. They paid the workers with this money. It was some kind of coupons or something like that. And month after month, you had to come back with all your money that you had. And for the price of 1/10 of the value of money that you have, you got a stamp on your money that your money is currently legal, let's say. So you needed stamps on your money. I hope you understand. So when you come back with your money, for example, with $100, let's say, you need to pay $10 to get stamps on your banknotes, on the rest of your banknotes. So the amount of money that you have disappears every month. The same is even easier to perform nowadays in the digital world, because you don't need to carry all this stuff. But what happens when you use this negative interest, that people have some sort of hot money. They prefer to use it as a value of exchange instead of storing this value. So this conversation with the banker would look totally different, probably. Maybe you can guess how different it would be. We will start discussion soon, because what happens to this forest when we have negative interest rates, when money gets older? And actually, I don't want to go deeper in that and provide you some historical examples. I know you can find them in many books in Eisenstein. book and also in Graeber probably. I don't remember where I found it, but it's also in the internet. This is also connected to this new modern theory of money, probably modern theory of money. So it's more famous nowadays. The literature that I wanted to share with you, and probably I will either send you a presentation or put it in. I will put the links into the comments of the video. The first thing is Eisenstein, Sacred Economics, Money, Gift, and Society in the Age of Transition, which is some sort of weird book, but the interesting things about Eisenstein is that he's a mathematician by his education, and he tried to, and also he's a deep thinker. And the book is available by many places, also for free. Another thing is my Edukacja wobec groźby wojny. Maybe the title is not attractive, but the content is thing. The content are important. And Dave Pollard, as far as I remember, his name was Dave. Will that be coordination, cooperation, or collaboration? And this is the link to the blog entry. The name of the blog is How to Save the World. Well, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope there is you have lots of things to think about, and I hope I provided you with some sort of schemes to think also about the current crisis that we are coming into, or the crises that are coming to us. It will be a little bit different, mostly because of this. It's very difficult to be on the baseline communism, in the baseline communist relations, when there is order, let's say, to have the social distance. If you want to ask questions, I'm open for that. If you want to discuss it with yourself or ask questions online with a video or audio or on the chat, I hope I will be able to answer them, or at least we'll think together. So thank you for that, and let's start talking. I hope you can unmute yourself. Maybe something was unclear and it needs some additional.
I think everything was clear.
Oh, great.
We can actually really relate to it right now. So, like the crisis problem idea, current situation more likely. So we are experiencing it firsthand. There is little room to imagination right now.
Yeah, you're right. But this crisis is different, at least nowadays, because as far as I understood it, we still have money. There is money in the economy, but maybe some consumers will be, or people will have not enough money to consume after in few weeks or months. I mean, this crisis can be different than the pure financial crisis that was in 2008. But
yeah, because we will have still have money, but at one point we won't have any goods.
You're right. Yeah.
I guess the production will move to other parts of the world because of inability to produce it in other places. So there are chances also in this point.
Yeah, and some opportunities for some.
Yeah, chances opportunity. Yeah. Like for instance, there's possibility that Mexico will benefit from this situation because of moving production there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So a lot
So
of changes.
yeah, so at the beginning at least, there was like people were afraid that this chains of deliveries, chains of productions will be affected, and they are affected. But also the time of infection, the timing of infection is interesting, because the China, which is the most the producer of things, is already, let's say, recovered, and so it will be ready sooner than we expected to provide things to other markets, and then there will be no we'll have no motivation to build our own factories, since we don't have enough workers right now and conditions to provide to build safe working conditions for these workers in new factories. Just in
So you're
Mhm.
so
Yep.
you're suggesting that China will even more become the like will get most a
Yep.
monopoly of production of any kind of things. They were already producing everything, and now it will be really everything.
Now, yes, they produced everything, and now they will get respect for producing everything,
Yeah.
because they provide help. It's not only goods; it's help.
Mm.
You know, I don't know how it connects with this lecture, but still, but maybe that's my opinion, because of the news and the current situation is so boiling and interesting that it's very difficult to not to talk about it, because we wanted to use our theory and everything that we know and to apply it to current situation, which is changing a lot and very fast, I guess. And I would say that 2 weeks ago, I thought it would be like that. We will have we will produce, we'll have factories again in our countries. But today, I think no, it doesn't. It looks like that we have, I know, planes going straight from China to Poland, for example, to Poland with masks and medical appliances. So we are more tight, and we care about and we thank our suppliers that they are able to provide it on time. We will be indebted in a way, not in a current, like in a money sense, but in some kind of social sense. That I don't know if you have this distinction
Yeah,
in your minds.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Interesting things, yeah. Interesting times.
It's almost the perfect time to discuss for this kind of lectures.
Thank you. Hope it provide you some entertainment and for your friends as well.
But currently, it may be a bit connected to the lecture due to like restriction that we cannot meet each other right now. Will it affect cooperation that you were talking about earlier? Because you said that we are humans and we, in the time of crisis, we want to work together. We are not able to work together physically right now.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot meet each other. We can talk
Yes, you're
using.
right. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. But on the one hand, yes, we cannot talk to each other, we cannot touch each other, But when you go to a Facebook, which is the biggest benefiter, let's say, of this crisis, because they handled of this massive movement of people, like lots of education on other stuff is now going through the Facebook again. But you could find some groups of self-help and some sort of mobilization. People try to help older people. We really experience some sort of solidarity, especially in these places where the government can't provide help. Look how companies, restaurants, and some NGOs are helping hospitals independently, totally independently, and they try to connect online in this new environment. It's totally new for us. You know, we can't touch each other, but we can do something, and not only sending money maybe, but sometimes someone can, like, we have this something in mind that we need to stay home, but look how many people are not staying at home because they need to work for others. Like, we still enjoy electricity, for example, yes, because somebody went to the power plant and did their work. You know? So it's a lot of people are doing and visiting others.
I want to underline the other thing, that current situation that we can contact each other without directly meeting each other is like only possible because of new technologies, or we got addicted to using phones, to using internet. We got independent. I lost the word. We were dependent on these things, and if it didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to work like that at this moment. Some years ago, we wouldn't be able to handle this. Everything would be stopped even more.
Yes. We would probably isolate. We know some historical events and descriptions, how people handled things like that. If we were rich enough, we could separate ourselves in a castle somewhere and play games, board games, and survive like that. And the experience of many people nowadays is that they are even more busy because of the separation and because of the need to stay home than they were before. That's, for example, my case. We need to work together with my wife online. We need to switch because we can't work together at the same time because we need to take care of 3 children at the same time. Which is crazy. Which is crazy normally to take care of 3 children, but taking care of them, provide them education, and to work at the same time make our life horrible. So I'm a little bit fed up with the technology right now. I don't know how is your experience about that?
It's a bit different.
Lucky you are.
Yeah, but yeah, it is interesting, in short. And no more comments.
Okay. Any other comments? We have 1 minute and 9 seconds, and then we will be able to comment something online, maybe on YouTube, wherever I put it, at least the first part of lecture. I don't know about the second. Okay, thank you for the discussion and for your attention and for being here with me and with others, and enjoy your time and squeeze it to make a lot, to make it the best time. This is it's a generational experience. It's important to have this, to document it and to think about it. Have a nice time and see you in 2 weeks, I guess. Bye.
See you.